There you go.
The new intro.
It's beautiful.
I did enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a work of art.
Well, welcome, Brock.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Brock's here because Jordan and, because he's awesome. And that's the number one reason. But Jordan and Andrew are at PowerShell Summit. So welcome, Brock.
Thanks. I think the real reason is because he didn't want to wear a turtleneck. So
yes, that's probably true.
I don't blame him. Getting your head through this thing, not easy.
So we are here to talk about SimpleMDM today. And we have Zach and Pepper. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Howdy.
So just quickly, hey, Zach, will you tell us about SimpleMDM? Just give us kind of a brief overview about the product.
Yeah. I believe SimpleMDM is an old wooden ship from the Civil War era. Sorry, that's Anchorman. SimpleMDM. So SimpleMDM is a cloud-based management platform for your Apple devices. So we're talking Macs, iPads, iPod Touches, if you got those, everything, Apple TVs. Essentially, it's going to let you manage your Apple devices anywhere in the world as long as they're connected to internet in some way. It's an offering from obviously us at PDQ, and I love it. Honestly, personally, as a former Windows sysadmin, I'm a big fan of it, not just because I talk about it all day.
Yeah, me too, actually. I love it too. It's actually the easiest thing ever.
Yeah, it coming from being a Windows sysadmin, it kind of makes a little more sense to me. Whereas like Macs always just kind of didn't really click with me, you know?
Yeah.
Going through and managing it with SimpleMDM definitely helped.
Well, and I was first Mac, then Windows, and I've used Jamf. And then I'd use nothing. And so when I first saw SimpleMDM, I was like, oh, this is so easy. I love it. It is really simple. And hey, you guys, we just did a new new functionality, right? The scripts, scheduling the scripts. What's that about?
Yeah, we just dropped a scheduled scripts feature. So you've always been able to run scripts on your Mac devices from SimpleMDM, but now you can schedule when those run. So you have the capability of saying, run at a later date or even run on a recurring basis. So if you want something to run every day, every few hours, something like that, you can definitely do that now with SimpleMDM.
So really similar to DNI, Zach, yeah?
I think of it as like kind of like the schedules, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
in DNI.
And that just went live, right?
Yeah, this week.
Yeah.
I think.
So new features.
Okay, cool.
The new hotness.
We had you guys on a couple times, Zach, you, not Pepper. Pepper's brand new. We love Pepper. Pepper's the mini me. Zach, we had you on a couple times and you just kind of did a demo and just like overview of the product. But today we want to dive into kind of more granular stuff within the product. So we thought, let's start with profiles. Can we?
Yeah. Let me
Pepper. So Pepper actually worked at Apple for 7 years. So Pepper, can you tell us what is a profile exactly?
Yeah, just in, kind of a short, my words, profiles are XML payloads that are predefined by Apple to perform certain functions. They can approve configurations, blanket permissions, and you can use all of this for mass deployment. So it just allows you to kind of play God over all of your machines and have them work the way you want them to.
Brock, it sounds like group policy.
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but does it work?
Yeah. Hopefully it applies policies a little quicker.
It works. Yeah, it works.
Okay.
It does.
Bonus.
It does work. It does work. And that is the best part.
Okay. So can you show us some of the most popular profiles? And since everyone's so freaked out about security these days, can we start with security? So Pepper, how about you start with do we have any like firmware file vault ones that you can maybe talk to us about, like security minded ones?
We do indeed. So let's talk a little bit about a firmware password profile. So you can create a firmware password profile. It's exactly what it sounds like. It essentially locks down any firmware access where you have to have a key in order to boot to the disk, in order to get to recovery mode, in order to reset, erase, anything like that. If you want to be able to overhaul that computer, you have to have this firmware password. For Intel machines, this is going to be the firmware password pre-built profile within SimpleMDM. We can see our name here, so secure. You can see that you have a few options here. One of the ones I really like is that you can generate a random password for each device. If you unclick that for me real quick, you can also just set one standard password if you want all of the machines within your fleet to be the same, so that whenever you need to go into them or do something to them, them, you'll always know what it is. But if you want to be super secure, you can do a random one per device. And then that password is escrowed into SimpleMDM. So all you have to do is go to the device serial number within SimpleMDM, and you can see what that firmware password is. So extremely secure. We have that kind of feature for a lot of things in SimpleMDM, including like local admin password. It's a really cool feature that you can just randomize a password and just go look at what it is.
So that's cool. So if I had like the executives or the CFO, if I have a lot of financial documentation that I want to keep extra secret, I could do a different password on those machines.
Right. And the cool thing is that you don't have to, you know, you don't have to set that one static password, because that's just not good security practice. But being able to randomize them and have them all in one place, though, right there for you in SimpleMDM, I mean, that's way nicer than just trying to, like, you know, I used to manually manage databases with like encryption keys and stuff like that, and people would forget it and they'd have to call me, and it was a nightmare.
So this is security, but this isn't exactly encrypting a drive, right? Is there something else where I can actually encrypt the drive?
Yes. So there is a profile for encrypting the drive, which is actually File Vault. Okay. That is a profile you can also build. And you can also state like when you want to encrypt the drive. For example, when I used to deploy this type of profile, I made it so that it forced encryption at login. So literally when the user was onboarding and creating their user account, it would not allow them into that user account until they accepted turning on File Vault and encrypting the drive. So it's, you know, pay to play. You have to encrypt to even get into your machine. Oh, that's cool. So that's if you want to be super secure. You can also escrow that one. Yeah, it's real nice. This one is only going to be a Mac OS option. So you see how we have that clicked on the bottom. You'll also see these little attributes on the bottom where you can change the architecture if you want to do an Intel or a Silicon machine. And then like you can do minimum or maximum operating system versions as well. I'll touch on the architecture real quick. What we just showed you for firmware, that does exist for both Intel machines and also the new Apple Silicon machines. If you have like newer post 2020 machines, that's just going to be under a different profile name called Recovery Lock. You do have to deploy those two profiles differently depending on your hardware. There is a difference there. If you try to deploy a firmware to a Silicon machine, which doesn't technically have firmware, it's just going to error out. It won't actually do anything. So it's good to kind of know what you're deploying to, and you can specify exactly what type of architecture you are trying to target within the profiles that you're creating.
Cool. Okay, so this is covering me security-wise. So if my machine gets lost, I can't boot to it from an external drive, and my drive's now encrypted. Yay, we love that. So we've made our security people happy. So Zach, we want to set a ridiculously long password. Brock and I really like 15-character passwords, right?
I mean, it's all the hotness these days. Yeah, the longer, the better.
The longer, the better. Can you show us about that?
I can. One thing I do want to say before we jump out of here is we're talking about escrowing keys, passwords, things like that, and saving them in SimpleMDM, right? SimpleMDM gives you the ability to define really specific permissions for your users. So if you only want a certain group of users, or even yourself, and when I say users, I mean administrators or users of the SimpleMDM, to be able to see that information or access that information, you can lock that down just to specific people.
I like that.
We're very security focused today. So
nice.
All right. Let's talk about passcodes. Yeah. So a lot of these policies are kind of, we talked about like file vault encryption or a passcode. A lot of these are taking effect right after setup. So SimpleMDM lets you do what we call zero touch enrollment, where you can set a device up automatically, push the apps down, apply profiles, things like that, which means that when your user picks up the device, in this case, whether it's a Mac OS or an iOS device, they can be prompted for a passcode immediately. So they have to set something up right away to ensure there's not a gap between them getting the device and actually securing it. So you can do a couple of different things here. If you want to require an alphanumeric value, you can. You could even do that on iOS devices. I did a password on my iPad instead of a passcode, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, but you can do it. So you can control things like the minimum length of the password. Again, if we're talking alphanumeric number of complex characters that you have to have in the password, when it expires, so how long before the password ages out, if you want to do that, password or passcode. And then, of course, like things like reuse. So if you want to go 50 times before you can use that password again, which if you still remember that 50 times later, that's amazing.
So this is where you torture your users, right?
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, this seems
exactly
like
where.
Okay.
This reminds me exactly of group policy, going through and setting your domain password policy and showing it off to auditors as they come by and stuff. So.
Yeah, it feels very similar to me, just in the Mac environment.
And one really nice thing is, let's say that you do set up a super complex, torturous password, right? And they can't remember it. SimpleMDM does give you the ability as the administrator to wipe that passcode and set it back up if you want to. So if you just absolutely need to get into the device, you can wipe that through SimpleMDM.
Okay, that right there is the best selling point ever, because how many times did you sit with a user who couldn't remember their password for 4 hours as they try to get into their...
Oh, I wasn't that patient.
Okay,
just screaming at a computer.
I love that. Okay, so let's maybe stop there on security. So now, what else wastes our time during the day? Like, I honestly hate entering in wireless passwords. That drives me absolutely bonkers.
Oh yeah, they can get tedious.
What's the password? Like you've told them 50 million times. Can we push out guest wireless? Can we build a guest wireless profile, you guys?
Wow, foreshadowing. Yes, we
How
can.
weird. It's almost like we planned that. That's crazy.
That's so crazy.
You guys have
So we have a wireless network profile here. And what do you want to do, Tara?
Well, okay, first I want to so if I have a guest wireless, I'm not super concerned with security as much as I would be. So let's just do a regular guest one. We're going to call it
guest? Okay.
We have to call it Salt and Pepper. Come on, Zach.
Salt
Silence.
and pepper?
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple things to call out, I think. This, we don't want to hide it because it's our guest wireless, but that do not randomize MAC address, that would drive me absolutely crazy in my environment. I need to know who's on my network. So I would check that immediately because I want to be able to identify them.
Yeah, I think there's a use case for it, but...
There is, but not for me because I'm a control freak. I need to know. And so then if we come down to security type, because this is a guest one, we're going to leave that as personal. And then we would just populate whatever password we're going to do. And that's pretty much all we're going to do for a guest, right? Because we're not going to be super ridiculous with our security requirements here. So it's just as easy as that. And then we're going to make the profile and we're going to scope it to the groups that we want to send this out to. But now let's just stay in the same pain right here that we're in, Zach, because now, or go out of it. That's okay. Yeah, we'll come back.
Good timing.
That's perfect.
Well, I want to show you, one thing that a lot of our customers do is they'll create multiple different wireless network profiles. That way, if you go to a different location owned by the business or just have different networks inside of the same building, that's already pre-configured so they don't have to go get people writing down Wi-Fi passwords on a sticky note or something. Yeah,
and depending on how complex your network is, you could probably have 4 or 5 of these. You can go on and on. And so we can show this a little bit better with this demonstration. So now we're going to do an internal wireless that trunks into our file server to say, so this is our top secret one, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, call it top secret. Okay, yeah, good.
I'm pretty creative. You
are. That's good. So now on security type, you're going to see we have a lot more options. So we're going to go away from personal. We're going to pick enterprise. So see, we have all these different protocol types. So let's pick TLS and PEEP for this one, just because this is the one we've used in the past. So now we're going to populate username and password, and you're going to know what your environment dictates. So this is going to vary wildly, but you see how many different options we have. You can, if you issue certificates, you're going to adjust this accordingly. You're going to populate whatever data you have and pick your protocol. But you see, there's just so many options. You literally could make it work for whatever environment you have. And then you would, again, scope this to the groups that you want to have this SSID. You can also hide it. So the thing I really like about this is if I have an SSID that I only want my HR department to access, some people might have that, or the executives, you could create this profile and push it to just that group of machines. So that's one thing I really like about this. It makes it so easy to do that.
I also want to say, I feel like we're really missing an opportunity with Jordan not being here to show passwords on the webcast.
Let's do it. Show them.
I really hate that.
That reveal button is just right there.
I know, just hit it. Just click, hit it.
I can't do it.
Oh, okay.
I can't do it.
You can't do it. Okay. So we talked about kind of sending things out per user, per device group. So can we talk about user preferences? Can we use these profiles to populate user data, or user privacy preferences is probably a better way to put it.
Boy, howdy, Tara, can we?
Let's do it, Pepper. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes. And I actually just sent in your Slack, if you'd like, Zach, some of the information for this. Perfect. Cool. So yeah, so Zoom is the privacy preferences we're going to build right now. This is one that I've used a lot. Whenever you deploy Zoom to, like 400 users, you don't realize that there's like 4 different endpoint prompts that they have to go through. And then like 2 of them have to be admin. And can get kind of annoying if they put tickets in for it. So if you want to just give a blanket approval of like, hey, I want to give the user all of the power, even if they are not an admin user, to be able to approve this application, to be able to approve screen recording, to approve like camera access, all this kind of stuff, this is how you would do it. So whenever you're creating a privacy preferences profile, which don't say that like 3 times fast, you need a few things. You're going to need the bundle ID. I've already provided the bundle ID for Zach, so he can fill that in. We have a SimpleMDM blog. I think it's on System Extensions that does go over on how to find a bundle ID for a third-party application, if you're not aware of how to do that. We can also send out some links. Apple has a bunch of support documents that go over bundle IDs for their native applications that already exist within their operating systems. So we'll go ahead and put in our bundle identifier, in this case, us.zoom.xos, our code requirement, which is like a long string. It says like identifier / something. But the thing that we need to actually set the preferences is, if we're going to scroll down just a bit here, is the access permissions. Now, this is just going to depend on what kind of application you are trying to deploy. For this particular one, what we'd be looking at is accessibility is going to be a main one. Every time you deploy Zoom, it comes up with that little notification of like, do you want to give this accessibility permissions? That way, if you are troubleshooting with a user via Zoom and you need to be able to remote control their machine, and when they're sharing their screen, they have to have that accessibility turned on. So you can automatically set that to allow, so it doesn't prompt them at all, and it's just good to go. They don't have to worry about it. Another really big one is going to be screen capture. Now, you'll notice that this one, along with listen event, are a little bit different. Apple is huge on privacy to a degree in which they do not make like any type of concessions, depending on what it is. One of those is being able to deploy any kind of screen recording without the user knowing about it. So essentially, we can't set it to an automatic allow, because that's not within the ability to do on an Apple device. The user always has to know if it's screen recording is going on, but you can set it to where it can be a standard user that's able to approve it. If this isn't selected and you don't have a privacy preference pushing out for this, it is going to default to administration privileges in order to approve screen recording, just because, again, that's a pretty big privacy concern. And then if you go down, you'll see that there are some other options here. Zoom documentation recommends to do the downloads folder and set that to allow. Depending on what kind of security you're running off of, if you just want to make sure that everything goes through, and you don't want to deal with it, don't want to go through it before and see what you need permissions for, you could just do access system files or access all files. Most people on an enterprise environment are going from a place of least permissions. So typically you would be looking and seeing what type of things are required whenever you download an application onto a test computer, and then going in here to files and resources and just approving the ones that it's asking for. But if you wanted to just do it blanket, do it easy, you could just do give it all system files.
So I can see a lot of use for this. For some reason, antivirus jumps into my mind because it needs to get everywhere, and you always get those weird errors, and it's always because it needs access somewhere it doesn't have it.
Right.
So I can see that being really useful there.
Yeah, endpoint protectors do have to have full disk access. That is one use case.
Yeah, that's cool. So, when I saw the block one, it kind of made me think of, Zach, what if I want to block URLs?
Yeah, block people from going to certain websites. So that's something that comes up a lot. When I talk to customers, I want to prevent my end users from going to certain websites. So we do have what we call a web content filter. So that's going to apply to Mac OS devices and then iOS devices if they are supervised, which is a topic we've talked about on multiple webcasts, and we've got some blogs out there if you want to learn more about supervision. Essentially, you're going to have the ability to say, do I want to deny list or allow list? Do I want to say deny these specific URLs or allow everything but these URLs? I'm sorry, only allow the specific URLs. So we're going to create one so people can't go to farmersonly.com looking to find love. You're never lonely at Farmers Only. Again, I still don't know if that's a nationwide thing or that's just because I live in Indiana and we just get bombed with that commercial. So
right in viewers.
a deny list. Also, sorry for our viewers who have a farmersonly.com account.
Or the people working here. But.
Or our hosts. Farmers Only. Now, one thing to remember is that this is going to block no matter what web browser you're using. So Safari, Chrome, whatever, it's still going to apply. And then we'll go ahead and add the auto filter. So Apple has what they call an auto filter built in. So you can use that. It automatically is going to filter out any adult content. So if you wanted to also knock that out as well, you could. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And so one thing we didn't talk about earlier, right? Whenever you're creating a profile, you need to assign that profile to a specific device, a group of devices, whatever. Typically, you're going to do that at the group level. So we're going to go assign this to our Death Star group. I'm going to go to profiles. I'm going to go to assign profile, and we're going to apply nomorefarmersonly.com. Now, creeping behind here the whole time has been my iPad. Ooh, there he is, Jordan. It's like Jordan's here with us.
Oh, there he is.
We should do that reveal every time. All right.
We really should.
So let's pull up the iPad here. We'll open up Chrome. And you can see I've already got it up there once, but we'll just go to Farmers Only. And it's restricted, right? So no matter which web browser you use, whether it's Safari, whether it's Chrome, whatever, the site's restricted. Your end user can no longer get to their dating site.
That's cool. So if I was in a school, I can see how that'd be incredibly useful as well. If you're trying to filter things.
A lot of high schoolers on farmersonly.com.
They love the farmers.
Those 4-H clubs, man.
No, but really, I worked in a school and that would have been incredibly helpful.
Yes.
Yes. So question, can I use that web content filter in conjunction with the single app mode profile? What if I wanted to be really restrictive? Can those work together?
So if you just wanted to kind of kiosk a device or get down to one app, maybe a school's a good example where you may have students that are just using a single app. So we've already got that profile applied. We're going to create a second profile for single app mode.
Well, first of all, I should have said, what is single app mode? Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead there. What is it, you guys? Can you explain it, Zach?
Single app mode is going to allow you to basically say on an iOS or tvOS device, I only want this single application to be accessible. So we'll just really boringly.
So it's kind of like kiosk mode, which you may have heard in a few other programs.
Yes.
Like if I want to turn my iPad into a conference room scheduler, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, or a lot of companies that do, for example, finance companies will have a kiosk where they do like a loan closing, where they only want their end user to be able to get to a browser or something like that.
Okay.
So we're going to come out here, Chrome only. And here momentarily, that should lock us down to just the Chrome application.
So Jordan, it'll be Jordan and Chrome in the hills.
Yes.
It's a good combination.
There you go. So I can't close Chrome now. I'm hitting the button to come out of Chrome. I cannot close the Chrome application now.
Amazing. So there's a couple questions.
If you want to get to that.
There's a couple questions, Zach. Can we take some questions?
Absolutely.
If you're ready. Are you ready?
That's what I'm here for.
That is so refreshing to hear that. That's outstanding. All right, first question. I'm about to purchase some iPads. Should I look at setting up SimpleMDM first before ordering? Sincerely, Eric.
Well, I mean, yeah, you obviously should buy.
Yeah, I was. Hopefully, you have at least a couple Apple devices. I would say, the sooner you can kind of set up your infrastructure, especially if you've got like Apple Business Manager accounts set up and stuff like that.
Exactly.
As you start ordering those Apple devices, it'll just like auto enroll into your SimpleMDM account, and you'll be good to go. So I would say the earlier you can get in on it, the better, because then you don't have to worry about enrolling those devices later.
Yeah, if you have an Apple Business Manager account, or if you don't, you could look at starting with an Apple Business Manager account. Then you can, whenever you go to buy, you enroll through there. They're already there and ready to be sent out. And from there, you can even do a trial of SimpleMDM, I think for 14 days. And you can create the link to Apple Business Manager to where you already see those devices going directly into SimpleMDM and just give it a shot. So I think it's a good idea to start your infrastructure planning first.
Was that 30 days that I heard?
30. It's 30 days.
Is it 30?
I agree.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I agree. The one thing I want to say is what I tell every single person that's coming into this that's new to managing Apple devices: get your Apple Business Manager account or School Manager account set up first. That way you can utilize zero-touch enrollment during your testing. So to kind of
and that's one of the longer processes, right? Getting that ABM account set up.
Sometimes about a week.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there's no tree you can shake to make it happen faster, right? You can't email somebody and say, hey, so it's usually about a week. So we recommend doing that first. And then it'll link to SimpleMDM and let you automatically put your devices in there without having to do any special magic.
But that's really the only hard part, right? And it's not hard. It's just time. It's so easy to set up, though. So
I mean,
it's an afternoon and you're ready to go, I think.
If you're looking for less work, though, I mean, Apple Business Manager is the way to go as far as enrolling devices goes. And I'm always looking for the easy way out. So.
Well, you guys have kind of answered this next question, but let's do it anyway. Okay. Is there a free limited scans, time limited trial? Always keen to try new MDMs with a couple of testers. And as much as I love PDQ sales, being able to test casually is all I can do. Hashtag hella busy. Sincerely, David R.
I like it. Yeah, if you just go to the website, SimpleMDM, it's on the upper right-hand side, try for free.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's asking if you just use a few devices versus like your 30-day trial, like, oh, I can use it, but for like 7 devices or something for an extended period of time. If you're looking at that, I don't know if something like that exists. But again, our sales team is always usually pretty happy to help people out.
He doesn't want to talk to the sales team. I think,
they're
am
pretty
I
nice
reading
people.
it right? There is a 15-day trial, and you can just go to the website and sign up for it.
30-day.
I thought they just, 30-day? Mm-hmm. Oh,
Right.
Why am I talking?
It just doubled in that time. It went from 15
It's
to
30 now.
We'll do 30 for you.
For you, it's now 30.
Yeah, there's not it's a 30-day trial. So we don't care if you enroll one device or 5,000 in that 30-day trial, right? It's whatever you want to do. You really don't have to talk to, as somebody who's on the sales team or adjacent to the sales team. I don't always like talking to them either. So you don't have to talk to them during the trial. But we are absolutely here to help. We're happy to jump on calls, help you with the setup, do things like that. So we are absolutely here to help during that trial.
Even Zach doesn't even want to talk to himself.
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
I mean, you can talk to me, David. I won't be able to help, but you can still talk.
He's easier to talk to. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time, right, Kelly, or do we not?
Yep.
3
You got a
minutes.
little time, yep.
Zach, I really want to see the app restrictions. I know it's a huge beast, but can you just open it up and show us all the possibilities?
Yeah, we can speed run that really quickly. So you've blocked farmersonly.com, right? But they have an app. Right. I don't know if that's true, but let's pretend they do. So you need to block the app as well, so they can't get to it.
You haven't used the app. If you like what you see, you plow right. Plow left. Anyway, go ahead.
That's amazing. For the purposes of this, we're just going to say only allow certain apps just to speed things up. So we're going to say only allow Chrome and nothing else. And there we go. Chrome iOS app. Close that. All right. We're only allowing the Google Chrome app. I'm going to save that. We're going to apply that to the group again. Profiles. Again, you can apply to a group. You can apply to individual devices, whatever you want to do. We're going to go ahead and assign that there. And we'll bring my iPad back up. 1, 2, 3, come on, 4. Usually this is a lot faster. There it is. All right. So you can see now that the only app that you have available to use, the settings app, just because Apple doesn't allow us to block settings, and then also the settings app, that is, and then also Google Chrome. So if you wanted to create an allow list and only allow a handful of apps, you could, or of course you can create a deny list, say don't allow these apps on the device.
Why does Jordan look so cute in that dress? Is that what you're thinking?
He really pulls it off.
It was made for him.
I mean...
It's really made for him.
Actually, I think that's really cool. I like to lock it down.
No, that's one that we use a lot. Real practical example. I use this as an example because I actually talked to someone who wanted to block their employees from getting to dating apps on their phones. So it's a real world example. People are doing that out there.
I love it. Okay. I actually would use this for conference rooms. I would.
Yeah,
to
for
book
sure.
them out.
Lock it into Zoom or whatever you need to lock it into.
Yeah.
And then you don't, because, as soon as someone goes into the conference room, they hit the wrong button on something. And then the next thing that happens is you're getting a call in IT.
Yeah, I hate conference room calls. They're my least favorite, actually.
Yeah.
Because they've broken something and
Well,
they're
and it's usually like a high pressure situation.
in the middle of the meeting.
Exactly. It's
and
like,
they're all staring at you.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
I would definitely use it.
Or
for
if
that.
you have like the iPad that the delivery people have to sign in on, or, like just something that sits outside the door, you can also lock it into like kiosk mode for that too. Those are really nice.
I like all those.
We do have one more question if you're interested.
We are, boss. Let's do it.
Is everything you've shown today in the web console achievable via API? David.
I'm trying to channel my inner Steve Jobs, but I'm
Let's all
stumped on
do
this
it.
one.
Anything is possible with the no, I think so. I believe so. Yes, I'd have to do a deeper dive to be 100%. The API has around 95% parity with the web interface. So just about anything that you can do through the web interface, you can do through the API. So creating profiles, assigning profiles, adding devices, sending out enrollments, things like that. The API is super well documented if you want to go out and take a look at it. I believe it's under right here. We have documentation that you can go to. I've worked with a lot of APIs that were not so great. This is very well documented, very easy to use.
I'm glad Zach's here.
Me too. Yeah. Well, and Pepper has about 900 documents that we're going to attach in the description of his video, so you can go back and read all of those. So
Yep.
we'll have all that.
Cool.
Okay. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us for Simple MDM. I am Tara.
And I'm Brock.
See you next week.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. You can also post your questions down there on the YouTubes. And of course, if you like what you saw, like and subscribe. That would make us all happy. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you back here next time.